Well,
Hey toy fans, Aaron here. I hope you're having a good day out there. And tonight I thought we'd take a look at the vintage collection release of the Enfys Nest figure. Also, do a little comparison with the basic 5-point articulated one that came out not too long after the Solo movie was released. Maybe it was in the initial wave. I don't remember anymore. But anyways, let's head to the table and check this one out. And since this is the vintage collection line, Enfys Nest, of course, comes on the vintage style packaging. That gets you the Star Wars Solo logo at the top of the card, with that silver racetrack running around the sides. Contained within that is Enfys Nest with Vandor 1 in the background, giving you a nice snowy backdrop. And then through the blister, of course, you see the figure you're getting, along with the various accessories. Not only does she come with the staff, but she also has 2 different wrist gauntlets as well. On the back of the card, you see she's number VC125 in the lineup. The rest of that top half shows you the other figures that are available. And then off to the side, just a very brief description about the vintage collection line. Bottom half of the card is just all legal information. And now taking a look at her out of the packaging, for the most part, this is a pretty good looking figure. This is one that we received in the basic line where she came with her speeder bike. So we've had this figure before, but just not with the added articulation and added accessories. Comparing the 2 figures side by side, on the left is the vintage collection release, and on the right is your basic 5 POA version. The big standout difference is that the inside of that cape is now properly orange instead of being all black as it was on the basic version. This gets you a much more screen accurate figure, and also looks better in my opinion. Helps just give the figure some more definition to the body. Your other features are just a little bit more subtle. As far as the sculpting of the helmet and the coloring, the tone is just a little more yellow on the vintage collection release, and for some reason you don't get the Arabish text along the forehead of the helmet as we did with the basic release. Aside from that, the painting and the detailing is pretty much the same, except on the vintage collection version this little black line does extend all the way around to the back of the helmet. On the chest piece you have a little bit more added painting with this silver along the bottom area, which we did not get with the basic release. Another notable difference with this figure is that her wrist gauntlets are removable, and you get 2 different ones. You have them where the shields are collapsed in, or you have another set that you can swap out where the shields are extended out. Through the belt and these little straps hanging down from that. A little color difference here. Instead of being black, it's more brown. The patterns of those brown stripes are also spaced out a little differently, and the belt itself was painted white on the basic figure release. And then finally, just the last little bit of detail differences. Down at the bottom of the legs, you do have this little orange strap painted in, and the boots get a gray paint job. So those are the big standout differences between the 2 figures. And now just slide back in, concentrate just on this vintage collection release. Heading back to the helmet, like I said, sculpting's pretty much the same. It's still looking accurate. The silver and blue painting, for some reason on mine, it's a little more sloppy on this release. At least on one of those fins sticking out, that middle one there. The blue's on just a touch too thick or wide for me. Otherwise, though, through the helmet, the painting of those dark gray lines and the little bit of silver through the eye mask is looking good. At the shoulder area and the back, of course, she has the fur on her collar and then her hair extending out of the back of the helmet. As you can see in this case, these are both hard plastic. This is a little bit unfortunate for me on this figure, especially since the way they sculpted it. What you're seeing is as straight looking as her head can get. She doesn't have the room to utilize any more articulation to look straight ahead. So instead, this figure is always looking down. Going back in through the midsection, you still get a good sculpt through here and pretty decent paint applications. Wrist gauntlets are looking pretty good and quite accurate to the movie. I certainly like that we have the interchangeable ones. This little beaded chest piece is looking quite nice. The sculpting's still looking accurate to how she was looking in the movie. The painting isn't too bad in this area. A little bit crooked instead of being this straight rectangular piece. At least on mine, it's just a little bit off the mark. And you just have the ever so slightest red dot there in the center of that chest piece. Heading back down for a closer look through the belt. Just got some silver painting in there for some buckles and some other whatnots that are on the sides. That light brown painting for the stripes are looking pretty good. And then even as you get to the bottom, you got the additional orange stripe in there. Down at the bottom of the legs, she's got her thrusters sculpted in on the side of the figure. And as I already mentioned, nice little red line painted around. I think that's just a strap holding that on or something. And then for the boots, it's what you expect to see. Gray boots, decent sculpting. As for the articulation, the head's on a ball joint. And even though you got the hair and the fur on the shoulder to contend with, it's still relatively soft enough that you're getting some range of motion there. Obviously, this cape does twist around with the head a little bit, but I think you get what you need out of it. Now, unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, with that hair and stuff sculpted in there, it's already sculpted in this downward position. So she can look down a little more, but you're not raising that head up anymore. she's not going to look forward. At the arm area, the shoulders, of course, extend relatively straight out. Now, I am having a problem on her left arm for some reason. I don't know if things are fused in there or what. It seems to be inset more on this shoulder than it is on this one. As you can, hopefully you can see that this ball joint is sticking out more. So a lot of that shoulder movement on her left arm, sorry if I said right earlier, her left arm for me is stuck. But on her right arm, she can raise up. You're not going to go 360 because of that shoulder piece, but you still get a decent range of motion nonetheless. At the elbow area, both of them are going to swivel on you. You can extend straight out and get just above 90 degrees there. At the wrist, you're just getting your swivel articulation. Your waist articulation is right through here, so she can swing side to side, crunch forward and back, and of course spin around. As for the leg articulation, a little hard to see because of this strap here, but she can do the splits like so, and then you also have some swiveling within that joint. And then also, trying to show this at the top of the thigh, you got swiveling there. At the knee joint, single joint, but you get a good bend, and then that leg does rotate around that joint also. And for the feet, you can go back so far, you can go forward, and it swivels around at the top of that ankle. So with all that articulation in mind, you might be wondering, will she slide on the 3 3/4 inch scale speeder bike? And yes, she certainly does. You still get a little bit of problem with getting the hands lining up with the handlebars, especially since you don't have any hinge movement within that wrist. You can't really get both hands onto the handlebar, but one can certainly get on there and the other one gets pretty close. As far as accessories, as I already mentioned, she comes with 2 different wrist gauntlets. Here's a look at the one without those shields extended. Looking very much like the basic release. Painting's looking accurate. Nice silver, nice red in there. Just a touch of dark gray or maybe even black. And these swap out quite easily. There's this little shaped knob sticking out on the backside, so you're not going to put them on the wrong wrist. As far as the one with the shields extended out, sculpting to that is still looking really good. I do like that they gave us this extra piece. It just varies it up, and especially since now for me, I've got 2 of these on my shelves, I can have one in a battle-oriented pose. And then finally, she also comes with her electro staff. Essentially just the same sculpting that we received on the other figure, except in this case, this one is just a little bit longer. I'd say probably only by 1/4 inch or so. Painting for this is a little bit of a mixed bag for me. Sure, this time around you get a little bit of handle painting in the center, and also some dark gray down at the bottom of the staff, but this time you don't get that touch of white or light blue at the end of the blade. That was something we did get on the basic release, and certainly no weathering or anything else to this. And she can hold this staff in a nice battle action oriented pose since you get the articulation in the wrists and arms. So overall, this is a pretty good looking figure, and I think still a worthy upgrade from the basic release. I would like to see some of the things still taken from that basic release and brought into this one here. The Arabic text on the helmet was a nice touch on the basic release, and I feel like that just would have been nice to have here, and maybe just a little bit more weathering overall to the figure. Otherwise though, I like the addition of the orange on the inside of the cape, and the interchangeable wrist gauntlets are certainly a nice touch. And that wraps up this look at the Enfys Nest figure. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on it in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.